Does modern gaming really suck? Was that a question or a statement? Well, I guess both at the same time. As I look around, people are commenting that modern gaming sucks and that the retro games are far much better. What are some pros and cons we experience in this day and age as gamers? This will be the theme of today's video. So yeah, maybe at first glance modern games have some downsides if we take a glimpse at some games we had back then, and then we are starting to comparing it with the games like Cyberpunk 2077. The GTA Definitive Edition, No Man's Sky, and so on. Looking at GTA Definitive Edition, I would rather drag my bare ass on broken glass than actually play this game.
Oh, hell no!
What made the whole thing even worse? They didn't succeed to license all the songs. How the heck should I play Vice City without Barclay the Moon and Billie Jean? What the fudge? Thanks a lot, Grove Street Games. Now, let's stop for a second. Would you kindly smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you're new, check out my other videos, I would be very grateful. So let's move on. Now there are more games to give a honorable mention, or better to say unhonorable mention, and that would be Call of Duty Vanguard and Battlefield 2042, as well as FIFA and few other sport titles, because those games are launching continuously every year with little improvement over the last title.
What the fuck?
Landing just bland most time. I'm not saying that those games suck or even that they are bad, but the improvements they have in the new title are just too small comparing to the last title. But there is also a small thing I wanna mention in this whole mess I'm talking about today. What if the modern games don't suck, but your attitude does?
Wait, what?
This statement will me earn some points. But hear me out, please. See, I was a guy who really had problem with some modern day games. I love my retro games and I didn't find much enjoyment in the newer games, but rather just in the games I grew up with.
Please leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I only somehow saw the bad things in the newer games. The reasons are obvious, and please don't tell me you didn't see it for yourself. Mostly the problems are unfinished games and I'm going to puke just trying to pronounce it, but microtransactions. They are the pinnacle of why modern day games suck, and probably they are root of all evil.
It's time to stop. It's time to stop, okay? No more.
But then I look at my younger brother crowd and they are enjoying the games they are playing. So the question is, where is the problem? Are the newer games bad and they aren't seeing what's happening, or we are looking at the games from another perspective and it seems to us they suck? Now gamers are a crowd that is hard to please. Our demands are growing with each year passing by. The first time I played Half-Life 2, I said to myself, yep, that's it. That's the pinnacle of gaming. We can't go any further than this. But here we are now. By the way, I made a video about Half-Life 2 and I poured much love and passion in this video. So please show it some love. The link will be somewhere up here. So let's jump to the next chapter. One problem with the gaming culture is that we are highly linked with the internet culture as well. What does it mean? Basically, if we don't like something, we wanna make sure everybody knows it. Hell, I'm even worse than most of you because I have this channel where I can rant publicly about the things I dislike in certain games and aspects of a game or the game industry. Now, I'm not blaming so much the programmers who are pouring the love and passion into the games they are making, but rather I have the problem with the corporate business model which doesn't allow the programmers to work with less stress. But the only thing the bosses are caring about is
Money, 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 money.
now this is also somewhat of okay because they need to watch out they don't go bankrupt.
I declare bankruptcy!
But the next problem is that AAA games aren't trying to innovate the wheel, so to say. They are simply sticking to the things what the general public loves. This is why the past was so much different from the present day. We had a mosquito simulating game, but it's a great game for some people I know because they're sucking the life force out of me. I mean, of course, retro games have also many downsides, from the controls, graphics and so on. But there were also one good thing, is if you look at at the 90s and the early 2000s, all the games that got released must be finished.
Hell yeah.
Because if the game company wanted to make some money, they couldn't release a game in an unfinished state, or the game company would take a huge financial hit to the balls. If they needed to pull their game out of the store to rework it and then re-release it, unless you're Rockstar and you organize your money with bulldozers. As we already mentioned GTA, remember the GTA coffee mode? Oh yes, of course you do. The mode that got San Andreas an adult only rating and got them pulled off the shelves. Well, with the internet it could be easily solved, a simple patch and it would be all fine and dandy, but with internet comes great responsibility, or something like that. But when the internet spread over the world like a plague, the next big thing that followed is the internet speed connection. We went from downloading few kilobytes into a few megabytes into a second. What allows us to download whole games? I remember where I needed to download few hours just to download a game called Pocket Tanks, which was like 40 megabytes back then. Now the game companies saw the opportunity. If they wanted, after they released the game, they can add much stuff into the game, like weapons, new arenas for the multiplayer, or even cafe modes, or they can release an unfinished game and see what the crowd thinks of the game and maybe patch it later. Now guess which road they chosen.
Give me money. Money now. Me a money needing a lot.
Yeah, they went for the cheap shot. What was the last time you showed up a disc in your console and didn't see a huge ass patch? Well, that's why I'm usually waiting with all the games I'm buying, because I simply don't trust the game companies. Well, at least not so much as in the past. This wouldn't be such a problem if we knew the game will be patched. Well, some games, like No Man's Sky, despite being a broken and undelivered mess at the beginning, they are continually adding new stuff into the game, and that's great. But then we are looking at some games like Mass Effect Andromeda, and yeah. So let's talk about the worst thing about modern day gaming. And that's, say it please all with me, microtransactions. Yeah, that's a thing that started a few years ago, and I hope with every day it will go away, but it's just too lucrative to disappear. Now, if it's only for the skins, like League of Legends, it's okay. But then when you throw into the mix a legendary super kick-ass weapon which annihilates you inside, yeah, that's a problem. But also if you take a look at war games, if you got a super awesome camouflage suit, it isn't just a skin, it's a game mechanic. Good luck running into the jungle with a snow camouflage. In few seconds you will be probably looking like Swiss cheese. So at the end the game companies are now more and more looking at the consumers as ATMs rather than a loyal fan. This went so far that EA said that the consumer liked more multiplayer games than single player. Like, it is just something that EA pulled out of their asses to try and manipulate the consumer to think that's what the majority of gamers wanted. And how they are using all tricks in the books to manipulate us into buying their stuff. Well, they could just make a great game and we would buy it anyway. Yeah, wrong. Because you will buy the game once and that's it. But if the game has a multiplayer component, this game would have a much longer life cycle of a normal game. Let's take a look at Skyrim. And one more thanks to Howard to putting one more version of Skyrim out. Nice touch after 10 years. Now for such a game you can play it around it, let's say 200 hours if you really dive into it. But if you look at multiplayer game like GTA 5, yeah, it's continuously getting more stuff to buy and now it's an ongoing meme at this point. This is a game which started on the PlayStation 3 and now it's on the PlayStation 5. Chill down Rockstar and give us a new GTA game. So you see the point I'm trying to make and how EA is trying to manipulate us into thinking that multiplayer games are better than single player games. Those are just some of the downsides of modern day gaming. Does modern day gaming has its cons? Yes, it certainly does. Gaming companies are getting away much easier for releasing an unfinished game and then patch it along the way if the game is any good. Now, but you as a gamer can decide if you want to buy the game. Do your research. You're spending your hard-earned money, so make it worth your time. A great thing is that we got an indie boom in the last few years. We saw so many creative people creating remarkable things. I mean Minecraft, holy heck, I was there when it all started and it was amazing. But you see how Minecraft popularized crafting, and now every AAA title has to have crafting, and this is a regular thing. If an indie game succeeds with some special mechanics, the big fishes are following it one way or another, which isn't a bad thing. For the AAA titles, it is easier to stick with the same things, because if they are trying to implement something new, it can easily happen they don't succeed. And it's better to earn some money than none. But as soon as an indie game gets some game mechanic right, the AAA titles are copying it. People who are arguing that modern gaming sucks are mostly gamers who only play a few different games like COD, FIFA and maybe something like Rocket League, and they never adventure out into other genres to try out what's new, and they feel fatigued after playing 10 years of COD games. Now you can argue that the games 10 years or 15 years ago were better made, more polished and so on, but there is one thing we need to account into this mix, and that's nostalgia. You were younger back then, so nostalgia is fueling your arguments a bit. If you look at the games we saw in recent years, yeah, some of them suck donkey ass, there is no denying that. But there were also some amazing games in the recent history. Don't limit yourself, guys. If you're bored with multiplayer games, go on and play a game like God of War, Uncharted and so on. And of course the other way around, if you don't like single player, try some multiplayer games. Don't limit yourself to one genre of games, and do your research before investing $70 into a game. If modern day gaming taught us something, is that we need to be cautious before we pre-order a game or buy a game. Do your research, and we need sometimes to dig a bit deeper than the surface to find the real hidden gems. Now, would you kindly smash that like button, share the video, check out my other content, I would be very grateful. Now, if you want to take a step further, I have also a Patreon. The link is down below. Now, that's all for me now. I want to hear your comments about the modern day gaming game. If it sucks or is it good? That's all for me now, and I see you in the next one. Snorky, over and out.